Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for the Geekenders podcast. MegaRan, Jesse and Dodger, what up? Let's go. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow and see what the Geekenders are all about. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt. Yo, another end of another long week. Got a job and a kid, I know that you all beat. So take a second, grab a drink and vibe while we catch you up in just a matter of time. On gaming, comics, whatever you're doing. If you're nerdy like us, then you know you should tune in. Thank you for sharing our world with us. Now follow, subscribe, and turn this up. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt.
Damn, that was like right in there. Jesus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geekenders with lovely returning guest, Mashish.
This guy, hello. Would be my third time if you time the first time.
Whoa!
I'll never
Dropping
forget
an F-bomb at the beginning, that's going to be edited out so this can go on YouTube.
Oh, right,
Thanks, bud.
Yeah,
Thanks,
YouTube.
pal.
Right.
Thanks, buddy, old pal, old buddy.
But
That
you have
chocolate fudging.
you have a really good opportunity here, though. What sound are you going to use to cover up the F-bomb?
I will let the editors choose.
Fantastic.
Have fun.
Better make it funny. I'll find out if it's not
I'm
funny.
making my lackeys do it.
I hope that it's my own noise going, whoa, and then just my own face over Mathas's face. That works.
That would be great.
Be good.
Yeah, that could be
That would
good.
be really good.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out the best way, because my kid has started trading books and comics with other kids. And so we were discussing the best way to have an identifier in there of like, this is Clark's book, right? And I feel like, sure, you can write your name in there, but maybe it would be funnier to find a funny old picture of my kid, cut out the face, and make a bunch of just tiny stickers of her face and put them in the book.
You should buy, you should buy kid stickers. You should take a goofy photo of your kid and then go to one of those sticker websites and then make little Clark stickers and then put them everywhere. And so instead of the name, it's just Clark's face,
You'll always know if a book is Clark's. I'm not I'm not getting one of those fancy embossers. This is a 6-year-old. I'm not getting one of those beautiful from the library of Clark Thorne. I'm not doing it.
That's all she needs is that kind of ego boost at 6.
But I will take a dumbass picture of her and turn it into a sticker.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That makes
you gotta
me
operate
laugh.
on the Jesse level. You don't want to go too classy. You want to keep it lowbrow.
It just seems so By the way, those embossers are great. They look amazing. Just not for my kid. I don't want to be
anything for you, kid, except an embosser.
Except an embosser. I don't need to be on the first page of Dog Man, the poop joke book, to be putting fancy flowers that say Clark Thorne on there, you know?
Sure. Have you seen the new motion picture Dog Man?
No.
I want to see it so bad.
I figured that would be right up your alley.
I want to see it so bad. My kid read the first comic. And so I was like, the movie looks so funny. I'm going to sit down and also read this comic. They really nailed the tone of because it's a comic inside of a comic is the concept. It's very, it's same creators that made Captain Underpants.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same kids from Captain Underpants, but it's their first story, which was Dog Man, and it's about a police officer and his dog, and the police officer's head is dying and the dog's body is dying, and the nurse is like, we should just put the dog's head on the policeman's body. And they're like, nurse, you're brilliant. That's the whole story.
This could be also a horror movie, actually.
It's It's
now
so
that I know what this
silly.
is, I do. You know what? I did have questions because I saw a trailer for this movie and thought it's weird that there's just a dog, man. How's the world account for that? And
That's
now
the
that you've
concept.
explained it to me, and I
Mad
know
science.
it's a horror story. It's
Yeah.
he is basically RoboCop, but a dog.
But a la Pokemon, the bad guy is a cat who's just a normal cat, from what I can tell.
A la real life, cats
No.
are evil.
A la real life, as
Yeah.
all cats are able to,
Right.
I've
seen cats versus dogs. I know how it works.
crime.
Cats are diabolically evil and always have
Right.
been. That's just what it is.
I disagree.
Yeah, that's because you're in the pocket of Big Cat, dude.
It's true.
We watched you pet one just a few moments ago.
He's in my lap right now, actually.
That's what I'm saying.
I
How many people you let in your
adore
lap?
my
Not
cats.
many. That cat
No, like
owns you, dude. That cat
less than
owns
20.
you.
That's okay with me though.
See,
I wish he'd pay my
you're
bill.
the cipher of this podcast. You've sold us
Dude,
out to Big Cat.
Yeah, see, you would absolutely be the cipher of any situation giving a chance. Let's be
Not
real.
cats. Not in this conversation.
Dang.
If the money was good enough,
Nope. That cat money?
yeah,
No,
cat
dude.
money's
Cat
good.
money
want
is
cat
it's a
money?
lie.
Money spends. Cat money
I
spends.
do.
Nuh-uh. Cat money is that's blood money. I don't want that.
I'm not the one wearing cat ears headphones here.
Yeah, no. Look, I get it, but I already know. Like, I know the score with Dodger.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm just shocked to see a friend betray society in such a way.
Sorry. Yeah.
Dodger,
I'm
I
surprised.
got. Like, I know where Dodger stands. Keep your enemies close, right? Like, I get it. That's why I do this
Sure.
show every week, to make sure Dodger's not up to any sort of diabolical. We're going tit for tat in the Great War between man and cat. Yeah.
That's
thought
a
you
lot.
wanted
There's a
to
lot of lore to this fucking cat
do
war.
this podcast because you wanted to spend time with me.
I do want to spend time with you. Make sure you're not completely in the pocket of Big Cat. I'm the only one keeping you from putting on like a weird neck collar thing. Too late.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
It's a kitty necklace.
I know. I'm aware. I'm aware of what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm good. Good. Things are good. Thank you for having me on again. I appreciate it. I've weaseled my way into both of your lives in different podcasts. So, I'm here. I've made my way here. I'm feeling good. Yeah, life's been pretty good. A lot of anime, actually. So
Anime.
yeah. Jesse, you should get into anime. I hear it's pretty good.
I'm all right.
Jesus. You got one anime you watch and that's it.
I don't have any anime that I watch, but
That's not
I
true.
have watched them in the past. There's nothing I'm actively watching. I hear stuff.
Oh, sure.
I hear things on the street. Every once in a while, I'll see a clip of like an old man with glasses beating up a young kid in a convenience store, and I'm like, wow, that anime seems neat.
Oh, okay.
But I won't watch it. I'm gonna be like, oh,
So you're
that's
just, like,
cool.
watching clips of like street crime.
Yeah, it's like you go on Reddit and you watch Public Freakout. You see a little clip and you're like, oh man, we're all weird. And same thing with anime. I'm like, that's neat, but I don't. Yeah, anime happens. I just don't. Yeah, I'm not in
Anime
that universe.
happens.
If you want
Anime happens and I just exist around it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
if you listener want anime to happen with friends, me and Dodger on anime podcast. To plug that shit real quick, you should go watch Anime Cult. Me,
We are.
Dodger,
How
Minnie
many?
Mouse.
How many episodes of that have we done so
Like
far?
8 or
5?
9 now.
No.
Yeah. The next one's technically the one that's the one we just did is episode 8. We're coming up on episode 9. Yeah.
I questioned this entire show, the
Yeah,
premise,
yeah.
everything, when I discovered that they crapped all over Cowboy Bebop. Honestly,
We didn't
honestly,
crap all over Cowboy Bebop.
I gave my
the only
honest
anime worth
opinion.
watching, to be honest.
I gave my honest opinion about what I thought it was good, just wasn't great. 1, 2,
Right,
3,
right,
4,
right,
5,
right,
6,
right,
7.
right.
Yeah. Then there's the one we're gonna be recording in a couple weeks is gonna be episode 8.
Dang.
Our first episode was almost 6 months ago, over half a year ago already.
Hot dog. Hot dog.
Well,
hot
it's the
dog.
thing that I
hot
tell
diggity
Jesse.
dog.
In 4 days, Chilluminati turned 7.
Oh, I'm aware.
I know.
Well, frankly, I don't like it.
Can I tell you guys a funny thing? I might have
Yeah.
already told you this. If I did, I need you to pretend that I've never said it before, okay?
Sure.
So there's a podcast that my kid listens to at night sometimes when she's having trouble sleeping. It's called Sleep Tight Stories, and it's very cute, and they've been around forever, so they have just a million, 20-minute stories. And she loves it. I don't know what it is about it, but for some reason, Spotify won't, if I have an episode of Sleep Tight Stories going, it won't just go, cool, that's done, I'll play the next one. Instead, what it keeps trying to do is go, what other podcasts do you listen to? I'll just start one of those. So many times now, I've gone in there to grab my phone, and y'all chuckle fucks have been talking about aliens.
Yeah, dude. She's going to believe in aliens, and you're not going to know. Well, now you know why. Now you're going to know why. It's going to be fucking great. She's going to be like, Mom, I met the Nordics last night. And you're going to be like,
you don't want that. You don't want the Nordics.
They're keeping us safe from the grave.
You don't want that.
It happens so often. I'm like, why is it always Chilluminati? Why couldn't it be like any of the other ones?
Grab bag too, because she's sick, so she can get aliens, or she can get like a 4-parter about a serial killer. Like
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is so dangerous. Like,
I don't know why it would autoplay, because it's also marked as like mature content, so you would think it wouldn't want to.
Yeah, but it's Dodger's phone.
It's true. Yeah, I follow your podcast, and so it goes. So it goes, you want to listen to the newest Chilluminati? And I'm like, no, I'm not even in there, dude.
What do you think is a great first episode of Chilluminati for a 6-year-old?
For a 6-year-old?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Kentucky Cannibal.
For a 6-year-old, I want to go with the episode about my brain just died. The music guy. Andrew WK. That's the best one.
Oh, okay. I was like, we did a couple different music
Andrew
ones.
WK is the simplest. It's just noise. A kid doesn't even know what's going on, but it's just pure noise.
It is pure noise.
She might really like the Tomta episode.
Yes. Oh, I bet she would. Would she like Demon Dogs?
No, that wasn't a good one.
The guest was a little weird.
I guess was strange.
Yeah, it's one of those favors to a friend kind of things.
I don't know. Probably any of them, because they're all great. Just like this podcast. Every episode, great.
Man, you really sell your own work real well there.
Every episode.
I'm very convinced about how good your shit is.
Classic gold.
Yep.
That's the show, everybody. Thank you so much.
And that's it.
Here.
Yeah.
Bye.
As long as everyone knows and understands. It's great stuff.
What are you guys doing for your Valentine's Day?
Eating
today
candy necklaces.
Yeah.
Sam and I never do anything on Valentine's.
That's fair.
Is that a you choice or is that a Sam's busy choice?
I don't want to go to a busy restaurant or anything. But I do want to go have a nice meal. So it makes the most sense to wait a week.
Yeah.
So we always do a Valentine's dinner something a week after Valentine's. But on the day, it's become a silent war. Every year, I think
imagine you and Sam waking up next to each other on Valentine's Day, just glaring at each other silently.
I've never heard anyone describe Valentine's Day as a silent war, so I'm really excited to see where this goes.
We've got the silent war of the fight for our country, and then Dodger's fighting a Valentine's.
So how would you describe your marriage? It's a silent war.
A silent war. I feel like there are plenty of people who say that, but maybe not for the same reason. We spent a lot of Valentine's not really doing anything. Like maybe Sam would grab some flowers and whatever. It's now escalated where I always get him a bouquet of flowers and try to sneak it into his office. And then I also get a bouquet of flowers for Clark. And every year he manages to get a bigger, crazier bouquet delivered to the house. And I'm always like, fuck! I can never get one that's on the same, we are not synced up at all about what flowers we're getting each other, right? He always goes so hard because he's Sam. And I think, all right, this year I'm going to get like a really nice bouquet, and sneak it in there and it's going to be lovely. And then the flowers show up and I'm like, fuck, I really dropped the ball here.
I don't want to hear about your healthy relationship anymore.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I love that you give flowers to Clark. It's very cute.
Of course. She's one of my Valentines. She's
I get it. It's very cute. However, have you considered also giving one of those really crappy cards that they give in school?
Like will you be my Valentine?
Yes.
To choose you?
Yes. Have you considered adding to that?
That would be really cute. Yeah.
It would be. I'm just saying, you should step it up. You should really. There's a reason why Sam's doing better at this.
God, you're so right.
You're stuck in a box. You're stuck in a flower box. You gotta get out of that.
Man.
Flower box trap.
Mm-hmm. Where are you at? Where are you at in your headspace, Dodger? Where were you? You went away for a minute. Yes, what happened there? What happened? You
because I
left?
realized that Clark has 2 like big dick contest bouquets of flowers that I need to figure out where they're going in her bedroom.
Dude.
That is the problem with this escalation train you're on.
Yeah,
there's only so much space.
A united front when it comes to getting something for Clark, maybe, instead of both individually getting stuff.
Which parent do you love more, Clark?
That won't backfire in any sort of insane way in 20 years.
Which is like,
in 20 years' time, that'll be fine. It won't affect Clark at all. Part of
maybe
me is
I'll
like,
just combine them all. Maybe I'll take my flowers and put them in with the other ones, and then it'll be so much. It'll be so intense.
Most kids grow up with childhood trauma. Clark is going to grow up with like, well, your parents didn't like argue over who loved you more.
Yeah, I mean that's great. My hope is that it turns into some mean girl situation because I'm really angling for the mean girl. Like,
I know you really are. You're really rooting for my kid
to be a mean girl,
be a secret asshole.
Yeah, I want her to be like the leader of the mean girls, though. You know what I mean? Like she's just, come on, Becky and Becky too, let's go. And they're like, okay, Clark, and they follow around. Yeah, that's what I'm here for,
bro.
Yeah, very Regina George. That's what I'm looking for.
By the way, we hit the not to keep talking about my kid, but just as a side note, we hit the tooth falling out jackpot, both front teeth at the same time.
Oh,
I love it so much. I think it's so great.
Let me ask
She's
you
having
a very important
really
question.
hard time eating food, though. Yeah.
Very important question. When she talks or breathes, does she whistle?
No.
Oh, it would be great because she's got 2 front teeth. Oh man,
she does have trouble with the like noises.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cute. That's cute.
It's very cute.
I like you should have a kid, Jesse.
I should have a kid? No, I'm all right.
Yeah, super cute. Could be fun. Get the fairy stuff.
No, hold on. Dodger, how old is Clark right now?
6.
Took 6 years for this kid to become cute. No, I can't deal with that. I'd have to wait. That's lost. I might as well do another podcast. I'm gonna waste 6 years of my life.
Hey, waste.
Oh my gosh, my kid's almost the same age as Chilluminati.
Almost, yeah.
That's actually crazy.
That's very cute.
God damn, time. You believe you're doing this for like over a decade now. I know.
I mean, what else am I gonna do?
Yeah, true.
Come on.
Fair enough.
I got limited talents and skills and patience, really. So this is all I got.
You think your patience has worn thin over the years, Jesse?
Oh yeah. I don't have patience for anything anymore.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a
Order.
question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Order. I have a question.
Yes.
As 2 podcastiers,
Go I love that term.
What do you think? Because we're in a podcast boom right now, right? What do you think is the direction podcasts are going in.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you mean?
Like,
what do you mean direction?
Like, we've definitely hit the threshold, surely, right? Like, there are so many podcasts. Everybody's got a podcast.
Sure.
Yeah, the COVID definitely created a boom of people like throwing their hat in the ring. And a million podcasts happening for sure.
I guess I'm asking, like, do you think it's going to continue? Like, people are going to continue to have all of these podcasts, or will it peter out soon?
Honestly, I think because it's free and you don't need, there's no gateway preventing you from doing any of this. You don't need any particular software. You can just do it, even if it sounds like crap. I feel like we will always have more and more podcasts. It's very democratized in what it is. But, like Twitch or YouTube or any of the things where it's like make a thing and post it online, there's going to be more people do it, but it doesn't mean there won't be standouts, right? It doesn't mean that you can't start right now, and if you have a really good idea or premise and it picks up and people hear it, there's no reason why it wouldn't blow up and make you like a podcast star. But I mean, it's just, there's a lot, but I feel like that's because it's so easy to do. The good news is there's 7 billion people on the planet. So if you think, oh, I won't reach anyone, reaching 100,000 people is very doable in a 7 billion planet person. Like, it doesn't matter what your topic is. It could be why cats are cool, right? And that's the show. And I bet there'd be people, at least 2 in this podcast, that would listen.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't think podcasts are gonna like go anywhere. I think audio entertainment being free and easy, and the more people travel, the more I think it's easier just kind of listen to things rather than watch them. But yeah, like you had me curious. The growth of listeners for podcasts really boomed between like 2019, 2021. Like by an average of 2019 to 2020, podcast listeners increased by 21% to over 330 million. Fast forward to this year, 2023 to 2024, grew about 7.5% over the year prior to almost 550 million listeners. So we went from 330 million to 550 in about 4 years in terms of average podcasters. But the number of people putting out podcasts, I'm sure, has grown similarly.
I would wager that much like any other streaming anything on the internet, the vast majority of people, just to give you perspective, are podcasting to like 2 people. Like there's much like streaming, much like YouTube, there's a lot of content creators out there who may be doing amazing work, but they just don't have an audience and they're just putting out stuff. So don't compare yourself to the hyper successful people if you want to start doing it, is my advice to any podcaster or whatever, because the hyper successful people are genuinely flukes. They had the right thing at the right time and did the right, and they just became successful and blew up. But there's plenty of people that don't have an audience that I think are very, very, very good.
Again, get me curious. 80% of podcasts have less than 1,000 listens per episode. Like that's the vast majority. And for Chilluminati, and it would be the same for Geekenders, I imagine, with the listenership. We're not like Joe Rogan level by any stretch, like huge, but successful enough puts us in the 0.5 percentile of podcasts with the number of listeners. And that's still like, we're a drop in a bucket when it comes to a huge ocean of people that are bigger than us. Like we're still not that big, but yeah, there's a huge amount of just stuff out there. Yes, Doctor, I saw you raise your hand earlier.
That's okay. I have 2 thoughts. First thought is, the website that just shows you a random YouTube video that has no views.
Yep.
Oh,
love that.
I did not know this exists, but that's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think they've made a Twitch one now as well. There's one that will just like take you to a random channel that has no viewers. There should be one for podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That has you listen to a random ass podcast with no listeners. I think that would be amazing. Second thing I was going to ask is, speaking of podcast listeners, do you guys listen to podcasts? I know you're on a lot of podcasts, but do you also listen to podcasts? And what sort of podcasts do you like to listen to?
Jesse?
I mean, I used to.
Yeah.
I used to listen to podcasts all the time. Then they all started doing a thing that I do not like, and that's why I don't do it often. They all started going live show only episodes. And they would they'd be like, yeah, they do it for 3, 4, 5 years where it's just them in a studio. And then eventually it becomes successful enough where they're like, oh, we can make money doing this. They start doing live shows. And then the live shows are just a lot of audience interaction. It doesn't feel the same, right? So live shows are great if you're there. I love doing live shows. But for a podcast, it does not make the greatest of an episode. And then a lot of people just start doing those all the time. But I'm fine doing I'm fine doing a live episode every once in a while. That's why I do it that way. But after a while, you're like, eh. And so I don't listen to it as much. Right now, my podcasts are old episodes, or not episodes, but I guess speed runs from past GDQs or games done quick. Like that kind of thing.
Like background noise mostly for you.
Yeah. At this point, I don't. All the ones I used to listen to, I don't listen to anymore. And even news ones, I'll be honest, I don't do a lot of news these days. I'm like, you know what? I'm all right. I'm going to turn off the news. So, I'm definitely disconnected from a lot. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine. GDQ is great. I was watching the Grand Poo, whatever, World 3 run last night. And it was very fun. I was like, that's cute. Yeah.
And you mean, when you say live show, you mean specifically like cons and like stage live shows turned into podcasts? No, I mean
like just like there's like a lot of shows. So like very specifically, even though I love them to death, I will call out How Did This Get Made as a great example where it's a great show. And then they start doing live shows. And the live shows are fun. I've been to one. It's very fun. But the show itself, the vibe changed because it was about getting audience reaction rather than discussion of the movie. And it became like a different vibe. Doesn't mean it was bad. It's just an entirely different vibe.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I don't listen to as much anymore because I do a lot of them, but I still listen to a handful. And I mean, I think it's telling as to like where my comedy, like my preferred comedy is kind of dark. Like I very much love like Last Podcast on the Left, which is a much more MX rated version of like kind of what Chilluminati does in a lot of ways, where it's just like a lot of weird topics, including true crime, but their humor is just a little bit darker than we are. And then I'm with you, Jesse. I don't listen to like news, anything. I just can't. Like I can read a history book and I can tell you what's going to happen in a little bit. But yeah, like I used to listen to a lot more. Like back in the day, I mean, Co-optional was on the regular, like this, like years ago, like, Last Pod, Co-optional, and a ton of different news ones. You rotate through them all. Now, it's like less than a handful because I'm just on them now, doing them. So don't really, have as much time. So. But yeah, I love the thing with podcasting. I think that's interesting is it's interesting to watch it mirror YouTube in some ways, in terms of like YouTube kind of went through like it was 2011, 2000. It was like 2009 to like 2011 was like the first YouTube stars kind of started showing up. And then right around 2012, 2013, everybody and their grandmother were like, it's a YouTube channel time. And fucking people just made a bunch of YouTube channels and we saw people rise, most people kind of disappeared. And then of course, a ton of people are making YouTube channels now still, but it's not nearly as like crazy as it once was. But we're watching the same thing happen with podcasting now. And it's funny to watch all these YouTubers who were huge moving into the podcast sphere. Like every massive YouTuber from gaming or whatever has a podcast now. Everyone. Some of them have multiple podcasts. That's what I
mean. That's why I was bringing it up. Yeah.
I mean, but the reason why is very simple. The gameplay for the vast majority of people was a vehicle. It was like bread for butter. It was literally, it existed to be something to put on while they just talked. The vast majority of people who were doing Let's Plays weren't doing like, wow, look at this thing over here. I can't wait to investigate what this is. They were just talking over video game footage. And at some point, much like Crendor and I, we realized while playing Saints Row 4, I think, that we were like, we could just do a podcast of this. It's roughly the same thing. And so we did. And that was 2012.
Yeah. One of my very good friends, Ryan Nordline, Binding of Isaac, was basically just a fucking podcast. Like, it was just thousands of episodes of him just talking about his day or whatever the fuck it was. And Isaac was such a vehicle for that. So it makes sense. And the other thing with podcasts too is there's no YouTube algorithm. You don't have to worry about a thumbnail. You don't have to worry about fucking tags and how the algorithm is going to pick it up. When you do a podcast, it is spread across 6, 7, 8 different services, and it's a little bit decentralized in that way. So it's not just YouTube you're fighting. You have a lot easier access to your audience, and you don't have to worry about someone having clicked the bell, subscribed, turned on notifications. If they follow you, they get informed. End of story. So. And the money's better in podcasting too. Like not to be like, because we don't make like a ton of money, but the ad rate, YouTube takes 40% off the top, period.
I believe it's 50.
It might be 50. I thought it was 40, but it very well, like before it even goes to an agent, if you have an agent or MCN or whatever you make off of YouTube yanks 50% right off the top before you see a dime. So like that isn't as like true in the podcasting sphere. It's weird. It's just weird. It's a different sphere. I don't want to say I'm worried, but Spotify is very much trying to make an attempt to be the YouTube of audio. Like they have an algorithm now, tagging, video, like they have all these things that YouTube is doing that can make you more visible on their platform. But luckily there's still, Google Play, Apple, Podbean, fucking Podcast Addict, you name it. It'll be interesting to follow the podcast sphere, I think, in the next like 5 years to see what Spotify does and see if they really like scoop up a majority of the listeners. Anyway.
You know so much more about the like back end of that stuff.
I've been living it for like even before Chilluminati, like Roundtable Podcast, which was like my old video game podcast with Bear Taffy, Northern Lion, Rockley Smile. Like it's interesting to just like you dive into the back numbers and you realize, like I mentioned for Geekenders, it's the same. You do what, 1,000, 2,000 people live, but you probably do like 30, 40, 50, 60,000 listeners over a 30-day period across YouTube and other stuff. So like the majority of your listeners are audio, and it's a very different beast to track that because you're trying to track that over like 8 platforms. And you're trying to aggregate, and they all count numbers differently. But I prefer the decentralized nature of it all because I'm not, like I said, stressing about getting a giant face on a thumbnail and making sure there's a giant red arrow and a clickbaity title so people come click and hope they last longer than 30 seconds so they can get past, all that shit that is still part of the fucking YouTube sphere. Even stronger today than it ever was. I remember when YouTube was like, okay, 10 minutes. That's it. That's what you want for your video. 10 minutes, it's it. If it's longer than 10 minutes, the algorithm's not going to give it out. Now it's like, got to be over an hour. Well, if it's over an hour,
right,
that's what we want. It's all over the place. And I imagine you struggle with that, Jesse, more than I do, because I've very much like walked away from the YouTube sphere for the most part at this point.
Baby, I don't struggle. I let it take control. I've let it. I am wired up to the system. Yeah. I am jacked in. There's nothing I can do about it, so I don't stress. I accept it for the beast it is.
And everything on YouTube, the algorithm is like ready to shove you down the right-wing sphere, no matter what. Like whatever you watch, you like click one video about how you don't like Star Wars, and Davis is like going down the
we were just talking about that.
Like, it's crazy, and it's still like that. It's like you watch one video, and it's like, do you want to know why wokeness made Avowed the worst game in the world? Because they have they-them pronouns? I'm like, oh, God, I just wanted to watch a review about Avowed to see what people thought. Why do I need to know about all this shit that doesn't fucking matter? So dumb. Anyway.
They just love the drama.
Yeah, it works.
Really,
it gets
really
some clicks.
It is. They love the
it's
drama.
all money for them. It's all money for them, but it gets people all worked up over dumb shit.
Yep.
Anyway, how's Civ 7, Jesse?
I'm sure it's a fine game, or will be one day. Hey, I played Civ 7. This is what I'll say. It is classically a Civ game launch. And everyone who says it'll get better later, awesome. I hope it does. I love Civ games, and I wish it would get better. It's just, it doesn't feel very Civvy. So in my mind, and again, this is preference. You may love it. You may want to be a part of this, have fun. I'm not going to tell you not to enjoy. Preferentially, when I play Civ, I'm usually playing it A, while I'm waiting for a video to render, or B, when I'm completely like, I'm going to listen to a podcast, or I'm going to listen to a thing, and I want to like half zone out. And so the idea of things like automating a scout and have them walk around and explore for me while I deal with building, that's not in Civ 7. There's no automation. Your scouts can't wander. There's no automation. If I say, for example, have a start and I want to prevent flooding from a tile, right? Which, by the way, in Civ 6, it took them a while to get to natural disasters and different things. That was an expansion. That's right out the gate in this one, but without ways to deal with things. So if you have a flood, right, all you can do is repair the flood. You cannot in any way prevent that flood. So for example, in Civ 6, you could build a dam. That flood just stop the flood. And then eventually that dam could become an electro power thing where you can now power your city. That's not there is no dam in this. You just can't deal with that. If you have natural disasters and like one of your cities is prone to natural disasters in 6, and this again, 6 isn't even the best one. 6 is just the most recent one before this.
What is I'm using it as an example. Considered best Civ? What do you consider your favorite, the best one?
Wait, can I try to answer this based on last week?
Yes.
Oh boy, here we go. Yes.
I think you said 4 is your favorite.
4 is very good. I do love 4. I would say 4 and 5 are probably at a tie for my favorite, although 3 has a sweet spot in my heart.
Sure. 4 is
but
mine.
I believe 4
is my
favorite. What was the one that came with all the mods? Fall from Heaven 2. Was that 3?
Was that 3? I
don't remember. Whichever one that was, that would be my favorite. That would be the one I consider my favorite one.
That's fair.
That was 4? Great. Then 4 is my favorite. Hands down my favorite. And so, but like I played 5 a bunch. I got like, even though 6 is not my favorite, I have 600 hours in that damn thing. So like, I like Civ games. And this one, all the quality of life stuff just isn't there, and it drives me crazy. So for, like I was saying, in 6, you had governors who, one of the governors, if you went down the skill tree of the governor, if your city is like tornadoes or hurricanes or, snowstorms or whatever, volcanoes, you could put that governor in that city and it would negate all damage from natural disasters. Like they handle it. There are no governors in this one, so it's just not a thing you can do. You have no recourse. So when there are times I'm playing, it's just fine. And then there are times, like when I was playing with Crendor online, I was between 2 volcanoes and my cities were always on fire. And there was nothing you can do. There's nothing you do. And everyone's like, well, actually, that's good because then it buffs your tiles. I'm like, cool. It buffs them with fire. Like, that's going to help me.
Burning a lot.
Yeah.
The new Pompeii every year.
There's a lot of little things that just don't make sense to me. And like that. Another great example is going back to if I wanted to make a dam to dam up a river. There is no, when you go to the tech tree, for the 2 of you, I assume, have both of you played Civ a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I played a Civ with you and Crendor about 7 years ago.
All right. Then it would probably be 6. So in Civ, and this is for chat as well, if you go to the tech tree and you see a thing you want, right? What do? You're on the tech tree. You see a thing you want. It's way further down the line. What do? You click on the tech tree, the tech you want, and then it maps out how it'll get you there. Okay. It's done that for decades. That is not in this game. You cannot map out where you want to go. It literally, the tech trees are also shrunk because there's 3 eras now, 3 ages. And you can't, after every age, it resets and you become a different thing. And the tech tree you're working on is gone. So you're redoing a tech tree. So it's like 3 micro games rather than one big game. You can't, for instance, have a giant mech battle archers. You can't get there anymore. That's not a thing that happens in this game. You just can't do it. Yeah. So for example, if you go from age, the antiquity age to whatever the middle one is, the age of exploration. If you're playing as Rome, for example, I've been playing as Rome a lot lately because I'm trying to get my Rome Benjamin Franklin win, right? And so play as Ben, as Rome, you get a bunch of centurions, or you get like legions, and you can get a legatus to lead the legions and this whole thing. When the era shifts and you move to the next one, everything resets. So, for example, if you're at war, say, for example, when I was at war with Harriet Tubman, the war was going on as the age shifted and the war ended. When the age started back up, the war was ended. There was peace between us. There was no like, oh, well, if you didn't take our cities, guess what? You didn't, it's over. You have to reestablish a reason for war or declare a surprise war and get yourself completely, like, it's just, so that's a whole thing. Any units you had, some will vanish completely, and then you'll get different units entirely, depending on what you picked. Like, at its core, it feels, looks, sounds like Civ. But the longer you play, it doesn't feel like a Civ game. If anything, it's more active, which again, I can understand how people like that. It's the difference between, Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 16. 16 is a more active, it's like you're playing Devil May Cry. It's a different style of game. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. Same thing with Civ. I don't like this, like, plate spinning, you're constantly doing stuff version of Civ. It does not gel with me at all. I'm just not a fan of it. Another great example is as you play through the ages, right? When the age starts, it feels like Civ. You're building, you're doing things, you're declaring war, you're sending out, monks to go convert cities or whatever. But what happens is over time, you'll start to get crises, and the crises will compound. The best example I could think of is there was a Star Trek game. I think it's like Star Trek 5-Year Mission or something like that, where it's a board game and you play with friends and each of you are a Star Trek crew member. And the whole point of the board game is you draw a card and the card has something bad on it. And so you keep drawing bad cards and then you as a group have to stop it from happening. But what goes on is each card compounds and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Oh. And so every time you play, the end of an age, you have compounding crises that get worse. And obviously, historically, it makes perfect sense that the crises, think again, going back to Final Fantasy 14, the idea of like there's a cataclysm and then there's change, right? And in this, much like history, there's crises that build and then something dramatic happens and then you move into a new age. It makes sense historically, but gameplay wise, I'm sitting there with the most recent game I played. I got so much political unrest that then led into a plague that was destroying everything. Now, I had no idea how to deal with the plague, right? Obviously, people were like, oh, go out, move out of your city, do this, like all sorts of things. But the plague was ravaging my population. My people were revolting. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, if I was in a war, if I was trying to achieve an objective, how would I manage this? It almost feels like it's too much. And so I'm constantly being just bombarded with terrible things happening. And then the age shifts and all that goes away. And you get to start over. Knowing, though, that there's going to be more crises down the line. So now you're planning for crises rather than just playing the game and trying to dominate the world in whatever way you're trying to do. So it's this constant, for the plague crises, the solution I found when I went online, this is not even a joke. I went to like the Civ forums, the ones that like everyone goes to for tips. The crises plague tip was reload and hope you don't get the plague. That's how bad it is.
Good God.
Right.
And what's funny is everyone in the comments was like, yeah, Jesse, that is the worst play. You got screwed. I've had the Plague Crises 4 times now.
Good Lord.
If it's rare, it doesn't feel rare. I'm getting screwed every time. And it's that kind of thing where I don't feel like the video I made, I was trying to, like, I don't hate the game. It just stresses me out. And I don't want to, when I play Civ, I mentally relax. Yeah. It is a game for me that is relaxing. Much like when I play Total War. I'm not playing Total War as like an army management sim these days. That's not how I do it. When I play Total War, I'm playing Total War where I have the best units possible, and I'm going to just auto battle and take over the map. Because I'm checking out of the world for a minute just so I can go do this thing that gives me like number go up. I feel good. This is good. It isn't relaxing anymore. Civ 7 stresses me out, and I want to get to the point where it doesn't do that, but I constantly feel stressed playing it. Because there's always something terrible happening. And I'm like, I get it. That's life, man. But it's not my video game. I want to have fun. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm still playing it. I still want it to be good, but it is not a game that I intend to spend many hours playing because unless they change some stuff, it's just not conducive to how I enjoy games anymore.
Are you going to go back to an older Civ after your Benjamin Franklin
I still have
Rome?
Civ 6 installed on my PC. It's never been removed.
Someone in chat asked if you felt like there was anything that this one improved on.
Oh, sure. There's all sorts of little things that are great. I genuinely love the ability to pick different heroes. Heroes is a weird term, but like leaders and mix match them with different civilizations. There's some really cool synergies. I think that's very fun. I like that if there's a barbarian camp or a city state, one of the things you can do, especially early on, which is very fun, is you can take them over and then literally send them to go attack another faction. That's great. I love that. So it's like, barbarians, leave me alone. Go attack them. Big fan. There's some really cool objectives and things you can do. I like the district system. It's so, for example, as Rome, you need to make a basilica and temple of Jupiter. But if you put them both in the same area, you get a forum. And that forum gives you extra buffs. So things like that, where I love that. But at the same time, when it comes to districts, a lot of the city that you're building kind of looks the same to me. And unless you mouse over it, you won't really remember what you put there, especially if you get multiple cities with multiple buildings going and you have to like mouse over and like, what did I put there? Like, why do I want to match that with this? When before, and I know this is preference, this is entirely preference. In Civ 6, for example, each district was color coded. So it's like, okay, you know, purple is going to be your social, blue is going to be, or cultural, blue is going to be your science, red is going to be, you know, the military. And it made sense, and you could look at it visually and really quickly just make choices. In this, you have to kind of, what did I put? I mean, I guess, because in this, you can overlay things and you can overbuild. And overbuilding is a whole other concept that you have to understand, that you have to read the tutorials for, because they don't explain it in the game, but they do have tutorials that'll be like, this is how you do it. And yeah, there's just a lot of new mechanics. There's a lot to learn. I clearly can't give a final review, but I will say it stresses me the hell out. The game stresses me out in a way that, like, a great example is I was playing it the other day. I played it online with Crendor, then played it by myself, then played it by myself again, and still had like when I was playing with Crendor, I was getting so frustrated because online removes any tooltips or any tutorials, and I was like, well, tooltips are there, tutorials, and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is a terrible idea. I shouldn't have played this online with you. I hate this experience. Let me try it single. Then I tried it single player, and for a little bit was like, all right, I'm feeling it. And then, no, all right, I'm not anymore. And that seems to be where I'm at, is there's a beginning bit that I really enjoy, and then it crumbles very quickly. And I'm like, okay, I don't.
Look at this. Look at the sentiment I've seen, like, around. Like, people are not enjoying Civ 7 very much. And usually when a Civ game comes out, majority of the people are like, okay, Foundation is there, but everything I liked, the other ones are stripped away. So I need to wait for expansions and updates, and then it'll be really, really good. This one, it seems like a lot more different, where the complaints are like, no, the foundational gameplay loop is not great. Like something is just, it's not Civ. It's very different, and it's just problematic. And I wonder if we're going to see, because we've seen games do this, where they'll, in a year, maybe even 6 months to a year, they'll have an update that fucking changes basically the foundation of the game.
Well, it's like a weird vibe, because the like Age of Exploration, for example, it wants you to explore, but exploration is a slog in this game. Like, it just feels sluggish. You have to control every single person. You can't automate, right? So you can't just let them do a thing and focus on something else. You have to constantly be managing them. If you send ships out to the ocean and you don't have the right skills or the right tech tree stuff, the ships will just get destroyed in the water, which they always would. But like, you could offset that with like a World Wonder or something. And there's just constant things, and compounding, it makes it worse, right? Like, if it was one or two of these things, I'd be whatever. It's a different game, different change, but it's all these little micro changes that here's the vibe of how I would describe it. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone and there's a point where you realize, like, I don't think I like this person anymore? And it's not because something like that day happened. It's because micro compounding things over years happened, and they were never addressed. And then finally one day you're like, I hate this person. That's how I feel about Civ.
Really unhappy.
Yeah. Like, it's these little, it isn't, as a game as a whole, it's not a bad game. Civ 7 isn't a bad game. It's just, there's so many micro things that I just don't like that compounds to I don't know that I want to play this right now. Which sucks, because I love Civ games. I want more. I want to love it. And I see people be like, I'm actually enjoying it. And by God, I wish that was me. I really genuinely do.
That's such a bummer, man. Like, because there's games out there that do like some of the stuff you're saying, but none of it's relaxing in that way too. Because that's the, I mean, I think turn-based games in general have that built in. Because like, one of my favorite strategy games is Crusader Kings 3, but that's real time with pause. And it's very stressful. It can be very stressful. There's no relaxing like pace to that game, really. And only a few strategy games have that kind of relaxing pace. And Civ is like one of 3 that I can maybe think like, and they're all like the other ones I can think of are all like Civ like games, like Millennium or Humankind, which are all just Civ style games. It's weird how it occupies such a, what I would think is a popular genre space, but there's just not much like Civ out there.
And again, I think that's why it's interesting that they decided to go more towards other games. Like, it feels like you're playing a different game. It doesn't feel like Civ.
Yeah, Civ.
But again, that's preference, and it's because I still to this day play Civ 5 and 6 actively. And so the difference, this would be like if you went from playing a game, like a franchise you love, and then the next game came out and was totally different. And you were like, wow, like, I get it. There's a shock to me that it's different. And so I have to overcome that and get used to what Civ is now, except I'm just not. And I'm just being honest. What? I'm not going to be like, well, I have my thoughts, but I don't want to share them. That's exactly what this show's for. So
I don't think that's unfair, though, because Civ has been around for literal decades, and there are certain aspects of its core gameplay that have held true through every iteration that don't hold true in 7, it sounds like. So yeah, people could be like, well, I'm buying this franchise, I'm buying Civ 7 because I'm expecting these things that have been around since day whatever, getting rid of those things would throw anybody off, I feel like. Yeah, it would piss anybody off.
I mean, it's the same. I see in chat, Dynasty Warriors 9. Same vibe I had there. Hated Dynasty Warriors 9. They tried to do it open world. They tried to do whatever. Now, Dynasty Warriors Origins, it's my new comfort game. I love that game. It's so good. Dynasty Warriors Origins slaps in the best way. In fact, when I was upset about Civ, I went and played Dynasty Warriors, and people were like, dude, you're smiling. And I was like, yeah, because this game's fun. I'm enjoying every moment of this.
That's
even though the game is like goofy as hell and is, the same Dynasty Warriors. What now?
Aren't they all goofy as hell?
That's what I'm saying. Like, even though it is a solid every Dynasty Warriors is a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. That's like what they've always been, and they'll always be that way, and I will always enjoy them. And I just smiled, and I like killing 1,000 guys, and I like playing with my spear. You know, all the things that you do while gaming. And yeah, I just love it. Also, they just released Warriors Abyss yesterday. Imagine Dynasty Warriors, but it's 2.5D, and it's a roguelite, and you straight up get all the Samurai Warriors and Dynasty Warriors, and you know, I was playing as Lubu last night, and you fight demons in hell, and then you get little upgrades, and it's a roguelite, and it's super fun, and it's like cheap. It's like $20-$30. I love it. It's great.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. So like,
I haven't checked out Origins yet, but I haven't played a Dynasty Warriors in a hot minute, so.
Yeah, it's Dynasty Warriors plus Hades. That's exactly what the vibe is. Yeah, you do the combos from Dynasty Warriors, but then you can get various other heroes to join you, and you can execute attacks with them, and then do a super move where they all join together in like a cool Dynasty Warrior thing. You F everyone up on the screen. It looks gorgeous. Very fun. I was enjoying it. I believe I think it's Warriors Abyss or Abyss Warriors. It's literally just shadow dropped Thursday, I think.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah. Love it. It's great.
I want to check out Dynasty Warriors Origins, because everybody said Origins is great. So that's kind of where my mind's at with that.
Well, Origins is so much fun. They do a really good job. It still has the same like, Lubu, we're meeting again. I cannot wait to battle you. Like, it still has that, which is fun because it's always the same. But it actually has like, you know, in past Dynasty Warriors games, the Yellow Turbans was one battle, maybe two. In this, it's a whole ass storyline that, you know, like the Dong Zhuo part, which is maybe 2 fights. It's going to take like 4 hours to complete that storyline. I'm like, yeah, it's exactly what I want. I'm having a great time playing it.
That's fun.
Warriors Abyss.
Yeah.
I checked.
Warriors Abyss, play it. It's very fun.
I also played a Hades like. I played a bunch of it. It got pitched to me really hard when I was on Dropped Frames, and Sam bought it for me because it's a co-op Hades like. It's called Sworn. You guys have heard of that game yet?
Really?
Yeah, Sworn.
I may have heard of this. It already sounds familiar.
When you play this game or look at this game, if you've played Hades before, you're going to be like, oh my God, because there is so much overlap. Notable things that are different. It is co-op up to 4 players. It's class-based. So in Hades, you know, you're playing in like the first Hades, you're just playing Zagreus the whole time, right? And you can swap up your weapons. In this game, there are 4 classes. Each class has 4 weapons and 4 spells to unlock. There's a huge skill tree, or like an upgrade tree, I should say. But there's like so much overlap in the UI, in the way that everything looks. The art style, you could say, is sort of a cross between Darkest Dungeon and Hades. But the theme that they went with is like Arthurian.
I'm looking at it now. It is straight up just Hades, but Camelot.
Yes.
And Team 17 too. They have a good track record.
It's really fun. It did start a really interesting conversation in my chat of like how different people feel about games that take so much inspiration from another game that like the second you play it, you're like, oh, this is just Hades, right?
Yeah.
I can actually answer that for you. I actually have an answer. How do people feel about just taking something that was something else and making it their own? League of Legends has that answer. That's just Dota. Yeah. They stole that from Warcraft 3. So like, people love it. This is what they do.
Well, the example that I also immediately thought of is when Vampire Survivors came out, a bunch of games came out that were basically just Vampire Survivors. But the ones that continued to do well potentially are the ones that added to the format or did something that was like unique to them with the format. Mm-hmm. And I do think Sworn did that. Like, somebody was playing Hades and was like, man, I just wish I could play this with my friends.
That's what they do.
And now they're sworn, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with iterating on something that already exists.
Yeah.
Like, there's not.
You guys. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, if company A won't do the thing and company B is like, we're going to take your thing and make it 4 players, that's on company A. They should have done that. That's their problem.
You guys actually talked about, what was it? Hollow Live not long ago. And, and I saw that I didn't know anything about what that was, but I saw it was like a Vampire Survivors like, and I was like,
Holocure, dude.
Holocure,
it's very good.
Sorry. She's probably got 30 hours in it already. She doesn't know any of those, who these people are, what they do, but the game itself. Yeah. And she's like, I love this. This is so good. So
I literally had to record a whole ass show just to get my answers.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it's crazy.
I love
Someone said also Lethal Company is another like recent example of a game that came out and a bunch of people went, this is fun. I have an idea on how to iterate on this, or I have an idea to do something slightly different from this, right?
Company was like perfect YouTube bait. Like a perfect YouTube bait game.
It's fun, dude.
It is.
The idea of then adding more YouTube-y elements or streamer elements to these games, where it's like, now you're broadcasting, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
big fan of. I think it's fun. I love seeing the new ones. Same with what's the game where you had to go and investigate
ghosts?
Yeah, the ghost hunting game.
Oh, Phasmophobia. Yeah.
Yes. Now there's a bunch of different ones of those, and each there's some ones that I would consider better than Phasmophobia. That are, and that's how it works. I mean, that's straight up. All the different versions of PUBG that exist. And Fortnite was just the better version. PUBG's still successful, but Fortnite's the one that really captured the imagination of people in that genre, right? Yeah. Same with like World of Warcraft wasn't the first MMO, but it's the one that captured the imagination of people the most at the time.
They were able to distill it down.
I think the conversation specifically in this scenario was how does it make you feel to see a game that looks, plays, operates almost identical to another game? And
it doesn't bother me. The AAA spheres, every open world game is that, right? Right? Every fucking open world game is like the same.
I think I don't know. Maybe this is shitty of me, but like, say that Hades came out and they were an itty bitty indie studio and not very many people played it. Mm-hmm. And then a big company made a game that looked identical to their game after the fact. I think I'd have a bigger issue with it. But Hades is doing fine, guys.
Yeah.
Hades is doing fine.
Yeah, I can't think of a time. I'm sure it's happened. But I can't think of an example where like an indie game did well and a AAA game, AAA company was like, let's do that, but with money.
I'm sure it's happened before.
Yeah, there's got to be an example.
The Fortnite example is always interesting to me because it's just like what that game was on pitch and launch of like a fucking horde-based base building co-op game, and then they were like, wait, PUBG's popular, let's just do this, and then it just fucking blew up. It was no predicting that whatsoever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, the Nemesis system, man, I would have loved to see that in anything else. Like I would have loved to see another company see what WB did with the Nemesis system and then ripped that off and did it in any other game, and we never saw it ever again. And apparently the Wonder Woman game that was supposed to have it, like recently news had, because like their share earnings calls or whatever, that game got rebooted a year and a half ago, and they were using the Nemesis system to turn it into a friend system. So you'd make like NPC friends that you would save or whatever, and they were like, it wasn't turning out like we wanted it to, so we rebooted.
Yeah, because that's a stupid idea.
About that forever ago.
What is this?
That's stupid as hell. A friend system? That's every game. What do you mean? A friend system. The Nemesis system was fun because if you killed them and they lived, they'd come back and remember it. Or if they killed you, they'd upgrade and remember they kicked your ass and be like, well, if it isn't the little bitch. Like, that was fun. And it was great because
emergent stories.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, the pitch to like, I don't think that they wanted to get rid of the Nemesis system. I think they wanted to expand it so that you could also potentially add to your team if you had a different sort of interaction with a character that didn't wind up being a fight, or the fight went differently somehow, but maybe it added just too much complexity, or just wasn't ever, it wasn't like consistent, you know?
Yeah. I'm a systems freak, so like I want the complicated shit that gives you emergent storytelling. Like that's my shit. Like right now, like all the games I'm playing right now, it's very TB coded. Like 7 years ago, I came onto your co-optional and talked about Kingdom Come Deliverance. That game was a medieval open world RPG with no magic. It was like, it took place in like Bohemia, and a lot of simulation elements were like, but it was very Eurojank. The game was held up by like duct tape, spit, and a prayer back then. It was like constantly breaking. Well, the sequels come out not like literally a week or two ago, and I have been lost in this game for like 30 hours. It's like 200 hours long. The game is, they just took the first game and were like, okay, let's just like hone in on everything and make it all work. And there's been like no bugs. It's beautiful. The game is huge. Voice acting's phenomenal, and the world simulation elements are so fun. One of the things the game does is like, you can go around and steal and break into people's homes and whatnot, but if you steal something, well, if people see you and then you go off and steal something, but they don't see you steal something, but the AI eventually realizes, hey, I'm missing this thing. If you were the only person around that people saw and you were crouching around, even if they didn't see you steal anything, they will immediately suspect you and rat you out to the guards, and the guards will come and be like, hey, we didn't see you steal anything, but they saw you sneaking around, so we're going to charge you a fine. And that's happened to me, a couple times, which has been pretty cool. But the world itself is very like reactive and alive in a lot of ways. There was this NPC I came across. He was like Riddle or something. And every time I came across him in the open world, he's like, hey, it's you again. I got a riddle for you. I want to give you a riddle, and we're going to make a wager. And if you get it right, I'll give you your money back double. And if you're not, I'm out of here. I'm taking your money. I met him on a road the other day, and I was streaming it when it happened. And when I bumped into him, he's like, hey, dude, I got a riddle. And I answered the riddle. And just as we wrap the conversation up, out of the woods in the right-hand side, these bandits come running out. Just bandits that were just like roaming the woods and whatnot. And there's two of them, and they run up to us. One of them starts chasing the Riddler guy, and he goes running off into a field while I'm like fighting this one off. Takes me a while. I fucking kill him. And I'm looking around, and all of a sudden I see the other bandit running at me. And I'm like, oh no, what happened? So I kill the other bandit, and I go looking for, I hope the Riddler guy got away. I'd love to see him, but I found his body completely killed, and I will never see him again. And he's a named NPC with like riddles, and like I think there's like a story behind him. But bandits spawn, they fucking attacked us, they shanked him in the field, and I survived, and I'm not going to reload it. Like I'm just going to let it go. And the game is also very like strict on how you can save too. You can only save the game when you quit, when you sleep in a bed that you're allowed to sleep in, one that you own or an inn you rent for the night, or if you create an alcohol called Savior Schnapps, which you can down for a quick save, basically.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's and that kind of like, I love that because that gives you the emergent story stuff is very much where I love that kind of thing. And if you're looking for a big RPG where your choices completely change how things go, like for another example, the character you play, Henry, he's basically like a lord's right hand man, and the lord you serve, who's like your best friend as well, is just, it's typical medieval lord. He's like, I'm a fucking lord. The Bible says I don't do manual labor because I am better than you, and he like spouts off like the verse in the Bible that says like those of higher privilege don't have to do all this other shit. And he's demanding this wench in this small town to give him the best food, the best drink, even though he has no coin, because on the way in, according to from the story, we lost everything. We got attacked. The bar wench is like, fine, manual labor. And you can try to convince him to help you. You can just say, I'll do it on my own. She wants you to move sacks of flour. And I was like, fine, fuck it. He doesn't want to do it. I'm Henry. Henry's a peasant. He's just happy to be here. He's my lord. I'll do it for you, bud. I start moving sacks of flour back and forth, and about halfway through, every time I come out, he's talking to like an NPC on the other table, and they're like firing quips back and forth because the dudes at the other table are like, you look like we're covered in mud, we smell like shit. like, get out of here, like, leave. And Hans, the noble's like, I'm a noble. Don't you know who the fuck I am? And they're like, no, you're from 100 miles away. We don't know who the hell you are. They keep getting into a fight. I come out with my third bag of flour, and Hans gets up, and they go fucking fist fighting. And I'm like, do I go bring this? Like, can I? Because it's a side quest. I'm like, do I just keep going and like let him fight it out? But I'm like, no, he's my best friend. Put the fucking bag down. I take my fists out, and I get involved in the brawl, and I defend the honor of my lord. From that point on, the bartender won't talk to me like for like a good couple of days. I owe her money. The whole town is pissed at me because we beat the fuck out of each other. And Hans pissed everybody off because he's like, I'm a noble. I'm not going to do anything you say, you peasants. Fucking leave me alone. And I could have kept doing the quest, or I could have like, there's a million ways you can do things. And that alone, like, has that Baldur's Gate 3 feel of like your decisions really truly change how certain things go. And then the reactiveness of the world itself is brings out these emergent stories too, which I really fucking love.
Let me ask you a question. What's the over-on? Like, can I be a truly awful person? Like, I want to play this game, but from the perspective of like the Hound from Game of Thrones. Like, sure, I want to go into bars and like murder someone for a chicken sandwich. I want to like, sure. I don't want to. If someone gives me a quest, I want to be like, shut your damn mouth, do it yourself, stab. Like, that's what I want.
Yes, you can literally just kill. You can kill almost anybody in the game. Like, I haven't come across anybody that can't shank. You got a dagger on you. You can sneak around and just stealth kill them in the middle while they sleep. Like, you can pickpocket people, and there's like a little mini game on how to pickpocket. You have to be looking at the purse in the back, and you have to be very like, you can be a fucking ass. And the leveling works similar to old school Bethesda games, where the more you do something, the better you get at it. So like, if you keep using a one-handed sword, your one-handed sword skill.
So if I just go to town and like start murdering everyone in town, I'll upgrade my sword skill.
Oh yeah, the more you attack, if you walk around over encumbered, you gain strength and vitality points over time. Just from walking around. I genuinely want to like. When people talk about games really cool. that are, it can be anything. I always want to test it. That's how I did Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, I'm going to be a good guy, bad guy. How's that work? And it worked. It was great. So I want to, if this is a game where it's like you can live your life and experience, I want to do the most dysfunctional version of that, where anytime anyone requests anything of me, like my friend Hans, can I kill him? And be like, no, lords. I want to know that stuff. I don't think you can kill Hans. I don't think you can kill Hans, but like storyline, you two get separated early, so I haven't seen him in hours. It's been a long, long time since I've seen Hans. We kind of got into a fight because after the fist fight in the bar, you get put in the pillory, and like the citizens are throwing rotten fruit at you, and there's this whole back and forth, and you have to like choose how you and Hans are arguing, and he was being so mean to me. I gave him the silent treatment after a while because he was like, he'd be nice, but then we were getting into an argument because I was telling him like, this is your fault. You got into a fist fight. We're in the pillory because of you getting into a fight. I defended you and you're being a dick. And he's like, I'm a noble. You're a peasant. Do what you're supposed to be, happy to help me. And he's just being mean. So I gave him the silent treatment, and every option I was like, not talking to you. He's like, that's how it's going to be. Fine. I don't want to see you again. After we get out of here, I'm leaving. And he did. And he left.
Like, what if I kill him though?
I'd be cool if you could.
You know what? I might buy this game specifically for the purpose of seeing if I can kill your starting lord. I want to be like, no kings.
I don't think you could.
No gods, only
he's
me.
Like very story focused. Like, he's like one of the main story characters.
Yeah, well, can I kill him? That's the question I have.
Try. You can kill a lot of people though. You can kill a ton of different people, and it's a fun time. But you have to be very ready for the simulation and systems. Like, you get dirty from being out in the wild, so you need to bathe yourself in a trowel.
What if I want to be dirty? What if I want to be old dirt boy, the grimy?
Dude, I helped the grave digger carry corpses around as a mini quest, and I went to town, and everybody's like, "What? Did you roll around in shit? You smell awful!" And you just start walking around, and people like comment as you walk by them, and they're like, "You smell."
Yeah, but then I'd stab them and be like, "Comment on this."
And it has that old school Bethesda thing where NPCs will like come up to each other and start conversations. But instead of it being like terrible, random AI Bethesda Oblivion conversations, they're just like full actual conversations. I watched an NPC walk up to the bailiff of the small town and be like, every night, a man with an axe is walking around in my yard, and I want you to do something about it. And the bailiff's like, well, I don't know what you want me to do about it. Has he hurt anybody? And it just brings the world itself is just very alive feeling. I love it. It's worth checking out for sure.
Careful, you get executed if you get too psychotic. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would love to see what happens if they execute me. That'd be crazy.
Yep. I haven't gotten to jail yet, but I've gotten in trouble a couple times for being caught stealing. But in the first game, as Henry, like you can't read. One of the main quests in the first game is learning to read. It's like I said, it's very simulation heavy, and there's no magic. It's all like real world historical. But you still do like quote unquote alchemy and like make potions that heal and shit like that.
All right.
It's very good. It's very good. I think you would like it if you can get through the systems aspect where you have to sleep, clean yourself. You can't put on armor until you put a gambeson on, and like your weapons need to be tended to, like that kind of thing. That's the nitty gritty that people don't like. But the game has sold 2 million copies since it sold. It's done so much better than the first game. And,
I was gonna say the first one when it came out was kind of buggy, so I'm surprised that people were like, you know what, I'm all in on the second one.
First one's story was excellent, and when it wasn't like bugging out, it was really good. But the first one also was kickstarted. More than half of its budget was a Kickstarter, and then Deep Silver came in and like funded the finishing of the game of the first one. This one, no Kickstarter, it was just funded, and it made its money back in one day, which is I'm happy for them because that game it's so well done, and it's also a game that is beautiful and runs perfectly. Like 60 frames, no like issues, no stuttering. It is a beautiful game that just, you can see they put the love in to optimize the fuck out of it.
Mm.
It's good. It's very good. I highly recommend it for anybody who's into that kind of like, even open world RPs. Just give it a shot. It's very good. The other game I've been playing, simulation heavy, this is why I say it's very TB coded, is a long time ago. I can't remember if I was on the episode. TB talked about a game called, I don't know if you remember this, The Last Federation. This is an arson game. They did AI War 1 and 2. The idea is, remember, you're like a Hydra,
you mean the company.
with,
I thought you meant it's a game about arson. I was like, what?
Oh, ARCEN. Sorry.
Right, no, we're good.
Yeah. Last Federation, you were like Hydra? Like a space Hydra and a spaceship, and there were 5 space empires, and you were trying to like influence them to start like going into stop going into war. And TB introduced me to the game, and I like.
Is it an RPG or like a 4X?
It's like an RPG 4X management simulation game. Like look up The Last Federation. It may look familiar to you.
Already on it, yeah.
Yeah. So they did that game a while back, but they're most well known for AI War 1 and 2. But recently, like as in a week ago, they dropped in early access, but it's story complete. Everything they're doing in early access is just more options to fuck around with. Is called Heart of the Machine. Now, this game, I had no idea what it was, kind of popped up randomly. And when I saw those arson games, I'm like, okay, well, this is probably interesting. And the idea is you're in like a dystopian future, like 2200 or whatever. And what the world has basically come to a halt. Governments don't really exist. Think of it more like cyberpunk, where there's a lot of companies that run things. There's a military police as well out there. Shit's kind of bad. And you are an AI. The game starts where you become sentient within a worker robot that's working in a factory. And what you are trying to do as an AI is not only just leave that factory, but spread and grow and build, and then eventually take over the city or the world or whatever the case is. And like I said, you start with one robot, and about 5 or 6 hours in, now you've got probably like 8 or 9 different kind of robots that you're managing, and it's turn-based. So you're looking at like a lot closer to like I guess an XCOM is a way to go. But basically you have each robot has 3 actions they can take, but you as an AI whole have like energy so like you can move different robots up to a certain point. But once you run out of energy, even if other robots have turns left, you can't move them. They need both turns and energy, AI energy, to move. Anyway, so you start kind of like taking over, and you start making, you start spreading yourselves, your awareness, you start trying to grow, and eventually the world realizes you're around because you can't hide forever. cults start interacting with you, military, gangs. You start working with corporations, fighting them, trying to work with them. You decide what you want to do when you start taking over a city block. There are going to be homeless around. Do you just fucking kill them all? Do you like wipe out their tents? Or do you do what I did and said, you know what? I'll build you some apartments. I'll put you in the apartments. Then we're going to go raid some warehouses for some furniture. I'm going to build some water purifiers and I'll make sure you guys are fed. And as long as you guys are happy, I'll leave you alone and you leave me alone and I'll take care of you. You keep spreading and spreading and spreading. And then eventually what happens is like the game's like, hey, every 100 turns, a calamity is going to happen. And by turn 1,000, if you haven't like grown to the what's known as intelligence class 4 or 5, then the world ends. But don't worry, the game's not over. And what does happen is what ends up when you get to that far down the line, if you don't get to a certain intelligence level, which you really can't do in one go, the entire map gets nuked. Most people get wiped out because the government's like, hey, you're an AI, you're sentient, you're a problem. We're just going to nuke you and anything around you and just wipe everything out. And when that happens, you lose everything, except you're still around because you're an AI and you're in one robot again. And now you need to rebuild without being found. So you start sapping energy from other buildings instead of building wind generators. You start quietly infecting people's living spaces and start to build. And then eventually you get to a point where you have quantum level intelligence and you start working in multiple timelines. So you have your nuked timeline as your first one. And then as you start simulating other realities, you then start working in a reality 2 where you start fresh again. But now you kind of understand how the pace is going to go. And the reality 2 timeline can feed into reality 1 and you can eventually send like things back in time. And it just gets fucking crazy. And you work with like the developer said by like the end of the game, you're looking at like working with 5 to like 10 different timelines that all work with each other. And it's an RPG at the same time. You're like making decisions on who you're going to work with and who you're not. You're trying to influence people. You're out there trying to steal technology from others. It is fucking fascinating. It's a 4X,
so cool.
It's a 4X RPG simulation game that.
Let me just say, for the record, the reviews of this game are hilarious. This one right here says, the game is weird. To be honest, I don't think I fully comprehend it yet, though it's good. This one says, very much enjoying this Skynet simulator. So many shenanigans. This one says, every goblin in my brain adores this game. This one says, confusing, complex, a labyrinth of UI. This one says, a slow burner. Often I'm lost and confused, and then I have a eureka moment. It sounds like your descriptor, the way you described it to us, absolutely sounds like it's insane.
It is. It's insane. And that's what this developer's known for is he takes these like concepts everybody knows of, like 4X strategy simulation, but then always does his own twist on it and makes it fascinating. It's a cool, just to rise as this one AI and then slowly grow and kind of like infect the world, whether good or bad. And you can either be very good, you can be terrible, you can just kill everybody you come across. Or you can just befriend as many people as you fucking can, or work with a religious cult, or work with the company, or try to work with the military police, or you can go out there and start trying to get them to fight each other and like be like, well, this area of the map is like, there's a ton of military bases, but there's also a ton of gangs. Let me see if I can fuck around and get them to fight each other by doing little side missions that point them at each other and eventually like get them to hopefully like weaken each other and shit. It's really, really good, but it is also extremely fucking weird and complicated. But if you give it the time to just kind of like crack through, it's not impenetrable. It really isn't impenetrable. It looks complicated on the surface, but the game doesn't throw it all at you right away. You know, it's worth checking out. If you like that weirdness tickled something in your brain, I think you're going to fucking love the game. It's really cool.
I like when, and maybe this game is deeply confusing, but I like when a game is described to me and I think I literally can't conceptualize how that would play. Like that sounds so complicated. And then you start playing it and you're like, oh, like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Luckily it's turn-based, so you're not rushing against anything. You can take your fucking time. You can look at everything around. It plays like a turn-based strategy, what it plays like, but it's just very unique in its concepts. and like how you interact with the world itself. And yeah, it's just I don't know. There's not much I can't pitch this anymore to make it make more sense. It's something you need to go check out and play. And I don't know how much it costs on. It's like what, $20, maybe a little less or more. Heart of the Machine. Let's see. And Hooded Horse is publishing it. If you know who Hooded Horse, they publish a lot of like deep 4X strategy games. $23, $23.99 right now. It's 20% off because it launched a week and a half ago. And it's already had 4 massive updates, adding a bunch of stuff to the game. So yeah, check it out. I love it a lot. And like I said, I'm a systems freak. So if you like a lot of interacting systems that create fascinating stories, it's worth it.
Nice.
Very worth it. Other than that, just playing fucking Marvel Rivals.
Still fun, dude. I haven't played in like 2 weeks.
I have like 60 hours in it.
I can't. Yeah, I was talking with a friend because, you know, in competitive, there's no cross-platform.
Yeah. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
Makes sense, though.
So if you play on PlayStation, you can only do competitive against other PlayStation players. But I was talking with a friend, and because we hadn't played together in so long, I sort of assumed that they had also slowed down on playing. And I was like, yeah, man, you know, I haven't really been playing a ton of Rivals over the last couple of weeks. And they were like, I have. I'm on the competitive grind, dude.
Oh no.
I was like, oh no.
I can't.
I didn't realize.
I think I've done competitive twice. It's been straight quick play for me with a couple friends, and that's it. I can't. The competitive grind is too stressful. I like how they do competitive. It's like a weird tug of war of like points, but man, no. But I will say, I'm sure you've talked about it a bunch. Marvel Rivals fucking nailed it. Like the hero shooter, they ate Overwatch's lunch and like ran away with it. The amount of like stuff that is just free for you to like get, and even the battle pass is not that expensive, and the shit you get is cool. Like I finished the battle pass a couple days ago, and there's still like 60 days left for the battle pass, and
yeah,
the skins are awesome. The emotes are sick. Every hero feels like the hero, but is like balanced pretty well. I don't know. It's weird that this is a good game.
Right.
Because it feels like it's ripe for just like microtransaction nonsense, but every hero is free. Yeah. That's insane.
I also like that they are doing the Deep Rock Galactic thing where like they have battle passes.
Yeah.
Like cause again, I haven't been playing as much, but I don't have that weird stress that I would get with Fortnite of like, oh, but I paid for the battle pass and I have to get those skins. Otherwise, what the fuck did I buy it for? Because I know that even when they move on to the next battle pass, I'll still own that one.
Yeah.
And I can just do it whenever. So it's like, so I think that's so like consumer forward. Like it's just so nice.
That's why I'm confused, because it's like, I don't say confused, but it's fucking what, Nexon that made this game? Like the microtransaction kings like created this game. But it is the most generous free-to-play game I've played in a hot minute. Like by a long shot. Again, 30-something heroes, all free. NetEase, thank you, chat. Yeah, it's NetEase. NetEase made this game. So like they are known for their microtransactions. And like the only microtransactions are the skins, and a lot of skins come with package like emotes and banners and all this other stuff with it. And that's it. Like the maps are free with updates. Every single hero released is free. Like they released a month ago the fucking Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. In another week or two, we're getting Thing and Johnny Storm. And then every month or and a half to 2 months, you get a free hero. They're gonna have like a free hero every 2 months. There's like a new one coming out. I don't know. Like I hope this period ends, because I feel like the long arm of greed will eventually come and grab hold of Marvel Rivals, and we'll start seeing cranked up microtransactions. But right now, they deserve all the support. Like this is, even if you don't, if you miss Overwatch, just go play Marvel Rivals, give it a shot. My brother was an Overwatch sicko. Even while like, it was bad and people stopped playing it, he was still playing it. I was like, just give Marvel Rivals a shot and like, let me know what you think. And he's like in love. And one of the things I never realized about Overwatch that Marvel Rivals does is the third person aspect makes it way more enjoyable for me to like watch and play, and buying and having skins makes so much. It's way more enjoyable when you're third person. It actually makes
sense when you can see yourself.
You're in Overwatch, you got a skin, but you're in first person. Who gives a fuck?
Yes, I completely agree because I primarily play a lot of Loki.
Yeah.
And that first like yucky oil slick skin in the battle pass for Loki, I was like, I love that every time I go in, I can just look at how gross I am.
Yeah.
Like I can see the skin. Like it's just nice.
It's such a weird but small thing. You're like, oh, that makes so much sense. Like, yeah, this is way like I got the Storm. I spent a little extra money and I bought the Storm like rock and roll skin or whatever with the emote and stuff. And not only is it sick, like the victory screen for it is fucking cool as hell. The emote for it plays like a sample of the 90s of the X-Men cartoon as part of the emote. There's so much love. And all the voice lines are so good. Like there's so much of it, and the interactions between the champions is
the interactions between the different characters. Yeah,
it's so the Magneto voice actor nails it. He's so just like grandiose and well spoken. Everything about it is good. I know it's been around for a while now, and people have been talking about it. But like, I'm surprised I'm still like neck deep in it and loving every second of it. It's great, and it makes me look at Overwatch and go, "What the fuck did you do? Like, what happened? Like, how did you fumble this?
Fumbled real bad, yeah,
so badly." But Blizzard was fumbling everything, so I guess it makes sense.
I'm still not sure if Marvel Rivals is as good as people are saying, or if Overwatch became so bad that Marvel's Rivals is the baseline. You know what I mean? Like Marvel Rivals, everyone's like, it's what Overwatch should have still been. And I wonder if that's like, I don't know if it means it's great. It just means that Overwatch absolutely screwed the pooch, like in one of the stupidest ways possible.
I think it's both. Like, as somebody who played Overwatch and didn't get nearly as into it as I am in Marvel Rivals, like Marvel Rivals is just very good. There's a lot about Marvel Rivals too that like Overwatch never did. The maps change. Like the maps are kind of active and change. You can break walls down and collapse buildings down if you know enemies are over there, or you go onto a map and there's this aspect of a time magic or whatever. So halfway through the game, a part of the map ends up rebuilding into a building that wasn't there before. And certain capture points, if you kill or if you break like a certain thing in the center of the capture point, walls rise on all four. So you can like strategically be like, okay, we've got the capture point. I know where they're coming from over there. So I'm going to destroy this thing and force walls to come up so that they have to come around the corners. And there's that like little things like that make it just a little bit more like, I don't want to say nuanced, but a little bit more variety in each match, even if you're playing the same maps over and over again.
I do think another thing that Marvel Rivals has going for it that Overwatch was never going to have is the connection that consumers will have with the Marvel characters.
Yes. And it sucks because Overwatch, when it first came out, crushed it in character design. Like the very first thing that Overwatch, like I remember, is people like loving every goddamn character and the fan art and everything.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, a lot of porn, a lot of Overwatch porn.
Wheel.
But that, the developers for Marvel Rivals have said it too, where they're not afraid to take deep cuts. Like Luna Snow is a K-pop fucking Marvel hero I've never heard of.
I think it's
small
just
nobody
from one other game.
She was made for like another mobile game, I think. Yeah.
They're not afraid to just pull like random deep cuts. But the other thing that, and it's something that like League of Legends doesn't do very well, I think, or even like most MOBAs in general, where each character truly feels unique. Like they feel correct. Spider-Man feels like Spider-Man, and like playing Spider-Man, you have to be aware of what map you're going into. If you're going to be in a building or tight areas, Spider-Man is not a great choice because he's about webbing, is like literally like slinging around, getting to the back line, picking somebody off and getting away before anybody can see him. He's weak and he's, really quick. But if you put him in a tight area, he's useless. He's just going to get gunned down immediately. And I love that as well. Like, it's good.
There's something interesting about, like, going back to what Dodger said about the idea of a like sort of catalog of all these characters and the backstories and the connections that consumers have with them. Overwatch had that potential when it first launched. Like, screw first launch. The trailer that they showed at that one BlizzCon where Genji shows up at the end and like saves the day, and like that was hype as hell. The music was on point. The story was there. I was ready. They were like, Overwatch 2, we're actually including a story this time. And people were excited because one of the things Overwatch had, which Marvel's does, in fact, most games do, they make characters and you're like, yo, that character is hot. I want to play that character. Like, that's baseline. That's lizard brain. That's where people are like, yeah, hell yeah. Overwatch nailed that. They were like, there's a character for everyone to fantasize about. We got you. And that was the thing they did. But then once you start playing, yeah, all right, I'm in it. I like this. Oh, they gave us a little bit more. Oh, I'm interested in what's going on in this world.
I need emotional connection to this character. There was no emotional
connection. Yeah, trust me when I say to everyone out there, look, yeah, you might want to bang that person and get with them, but if they're weird and boring and stupid, you're going to be like, what a waste of time this was. That's all I'm saying. I'm just letting you know that love, much like video games, if there's no deeper connection, you're going to get burnt out with it after a while and be like, why the hell am I doing this? And that's what happened with Overwatch is they kept adding so many stupid monetization things and not delivering on the promise of like a literal story or connectivity between the characters, which they said they do, and then they took it back, and then they were like, instead have more reasons to spend your money. I genuinely feel like it was just a complete fumble on their part. And there's a reason why people, you know, going to what you're saying about Marvel, is that's built in, so they don't need to create the stories of the Marvel characters. Yeah. They're there. Yeah. You already know going in. Like, one of the funny things is the whole Sue Storm Namor thing. People are like already creating scenarios, and they're like, "Oh man, Reed Richards." Oh, no. Like that's because there's backstory there already. They didn't have to wait for them to release a video or to wonder what it could be or make up their own thing. It was there. And that's a huge advantage compared to Overwatch, which they just could have done it. They just didn't. For years, they didn't. And then when they finally said they would, they didn't do it then. I don't understand. It's insane.
It's crazy. Yeah, Rivals has no loot boxes either. Like, that's not part of it. There's none of that shit, which is so nice. And what's funny is you bring up like Overwatch 2 and PvE. Marvel Rivals have already talked and announced that there's a PvE thing coming out. And there's gonna be a boss fight against a giant Kraken monster, and like you're gonna be fighting with like your friends and shit, which is crazy. And another little small things that Rivals does that like, you know, really put it above Overwatch, like the little team up ability stuff. That alone is a really cool like element of the game. Like if you play Magneto and somebody's playing Wanda, now Magneto can use a new ability. He appears. We can turn it on, and now his melee attack shoots giant beams of chaos energy. Or if you're Luna Snow will give Jeff and somebody else like ice attacks and ice powers, like little team ups that aren't overpowered in any way, but strategic enough and introduce like Hulk and Wolverine. If you're Hulk and somebody's Wolverine, Wolverine can jump into your hand, and as Hulk, you can fastball special Wolverine and hurl him, you know, into an arc, and Wolverine then gets an attack. Like that aspect of it as well is really like cool because it encourages team play, it encourages like strategic thinking or changing heroes. All that stuff makes Marvel Rivals more than just Overwatch fucked up. Rivals is here. I genuinely believe Rivals is a much better game than Overwatch was.
Okay. I mean, I don't know about Overwatch. Like Overwatch holds a special place in my heart, but I would say 100% over Overwatch 2 for sure.
I haven't touched Overwatch.
Overwatch 2 is hot trash. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird, but you know, I'm glad to see a free-to-play game not be complete fucking like highway robbery in order to like play every champion. You just get to play whatever you want.
It's funny, nice, we were talking about that with League, because League is in like this weird position where there's so many characters.
Yeah.
And when we had Necrit on, we were talking about like the pros and cons to them just being like, yeah, you have all of them, right? Like what stops them from saying, sure, you can have everybody. And
what's the champion cost in League now? 15 still? Like $15?
Some of them are expensive, on the expensive side.
I forgot. Yeah,
there's some ridiculous bundles and things that are just too much money.
Most of them you can buy with the like blue currency that you get from just playing the game. But yeah, there's just so many. And it's really interesting talking with different people that play, and they'll say, you know, well, I specifically won't unlock certain champions because in the game modes where it's only going to give you characters that you have, if you just don't buy it, then they'll never give it to you. Right? Some of these like really old champs that people don't like to play anymore. Anyway, only bringing this up because like I am still curious with Marvel Rivals because they're making it sound like they plan to consistently keep adding characters.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious at what point they're going to be like, now there's a ton. What do we do?
Yeah. Yeah. It'll
or if that'll ever
right?
happen.
No, it has to, right? Like the flow of content cannot stop. The machine cannot be stopped. You have to keep putting things out if you want people to keep coming back.
Sure.
There will get a point where there's gonna be like over 50 heroes. Right. And like, what do? I would love to see like a banning option if you wanted to like do competitive. Like if it gets to a point where there's that many heroes, there should be an option to be like banning and choosing kind of thing. But
I think, can't you? When it's far enough in competitive?
Oh, I've not gotten far enough in competitive where there's banning. I don't know. Maybe there is. I have no idea.
I think only in like higher rank competitive you can ban characters. I think. I have never been there. I only know by hearsay.
I'm no business genius, but I would imagine they would slow down the release of heroes over time.
I think they're gonna have to.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it just seems like business-wise, flood the zone up front. Give people the impression that there's a lot of stuff coming, keep it going for a little bit, and then slow it down. I mean, they will. Like that's just how businesses run these days, and they'll slow it down, and then they'll deal with the repercussions. People being like, "There's been a new character in 6 months," and they'll be like, "Yeah, but think about all those characters we gave you before, though." You know, they'll it's definitely going to happen.
But for now, enjoy it. We're in like the honeymoon period where the devs are like fully supporting this thing in a way that a lot of devs aren't.
Yeah.
2 heroes per season. Yeah.
I'm just looking at the time. This episode has flown by, dude.
We're already done? Goddamn, dude.
Well, Jesse, do we have the news?
So much news. Speaking of Overwatch, Blizzard,
give us the news.
In a stream, revealed all sorts of new information about the upcoming future of Overwatch 2, from the return of loot boxes to a new stadium mode that lets you do third person, which we were just talking about, and it's a 5v5 best of 7 competitive mode they're adding. Also, they're adding a bunch of classic things from Overwatch, a bunch of new heroes, including Freya and Aqua. And map voting, hero bans, all sorts of stuff coming to competitive play, and lots of cosmetics. Really, they're just like, hey, please return is the vibe I'm getting.
I saw the magical girl skins.
Oh, shit. That'll win.
People are like, they're really trying to get me to drop rivals, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Like, you know what'll work at least one time.
Somebody's going to come back for the magical girl skin. Come on.
Yeah. I believe it was 2 years ago. It could be longer, where they were like, no more loot boxes. We're done with that. They're back. Now, I believe the reason why there were no loot boxes is because they got in trouble with many countries for loot boxes. So,
okay.
I mean, that they removed them. I think it was an EU thing, and now they're back. Break in case of emergency. Loot boxes have returned. Also, we talked about Kingdom Comes. This is very nice. Embracer Group. You know, Embracer Group, the company that bought Tripwire and all of Middle Earth and Gearbox and Saber and THQ Nordic. Basically, all of Square Enix's US catalog, or, you know, North American catalog, all those different things. Dark Horse Media, the company that bought up everything and spent billions of dollars doing it, they have, for some time, only been losing. They have lost so much money that they've had to dump all sorts of the companies that they bought. And finally, with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, they have a winner on their hands. And so the in hilarious fashion, the CEO, Lars Wingefors, on Thursday said the following, and I just want to include this for the world. The success of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a reminder of our core to bring great games. I'm sorry, great products to market. High quality teams need to have the resources and the time to execute their visions. When you have the right teams, this trust benefits everyone, including gamers, employees, and shareholders. I'm convinced that we will remain among the industry leaders in our core business verticals in the future. So the lesson we're learning here, it's a reminder to make good games.
Yeah.
I believe is what he learned. Make good games. Weird.
Make good games, guys.
That's so crazy they just figured that out. I wish them the best.
I want you to tell Ubisoft.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, oh boy. Speaking of Ubisoft, man, it's like you read the news today. Yves Guillemot, the master of disaster over at Ubisoft, said the following in a Q&A at the company's financial quarters results, third quarter. They said, we never want Jesse to play a Ubisoft game ever again. I believe is what they said. Actually, what they said was, and I quote, we have been investing significantly for a big pipeline of products for the coming years along our two verticals. These being open world action adventure, as well as game as a service native experiences, Guillemot said. And that's what we want to deliver year after year. So can't wait to never play an Ubisoft game again. Very excited.
No shit.
It's so cool. Thanks for never making single player stuff ever again. You guys upset me so much.
No, we got Assassin's Creed Japan coming out.
So my question is it's an open world action adventure and game as a service? Like, how are we going to do this? Don't like it. Not a fan of that. But that's from those boys. In slightly good news, it looks like two big Final Fantasy games are potentially in the works. A remake of Final Fantasy IX and a remake of Final Fantasy Tactics. And there's a lot of people on the inside saying it's been in the works for a while. People remember that a while back, Yoshida was like, yo, should we remake Final Fantasy Tactics or Vagrant Story? And I feel like that was a hint, like wink, 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 wink. So I feel like there's a lot of teams working on those. I would play the crap out of both of those. Also,
yeah, me too.
Interesting news comes out of the world of Resident Evil. The ESRB has classified Resident Evil 5 as well as 6, suggesting we might see a remaster or remake of these two games for modern consoles. RE6 at this point is 13 years old.
What?
Yep. Yep. 13 years old.
I thought I was still like 25, guys.
The remakes of 2, 3, and 4 have been awesome. Love them. So I very much.
What are they going to do with 5 and 6? Because they are not so awesome.
Oh, dude.
They were
I
not
want to see
awesome
a remade punching boulder scene. I want to see a remade Jill like cyber fight scene. I want 5 slaps. I don't care what anyone says. 5's awesome. 5's great. 6 is a mess. But if they can remake 6 and make it fun, I'm down. I'll play it. So
I want a Code Veronica remake.
I mean, they may do that. That could happen. But I very much wish for both of those to come sooner rather than later. And that, folks, is the news.
That's the news.
Boo boo.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Thanks so much, guys. Look at us.
Yes, goddamn.
I know. Time flies. Time flies with 3 professional yappers.
Yeah,
that's true.
Mathas, what's going on with you this week?
You know what's going on with me. Basically, Chilluminati. That's basically we got our first of a huge 3-part series is beginning tomorrow, I believe, or Sunday. Chilluminati will be covering the Monroe Institute, consciousness research, and a lot more. Please check it out. It's gonna be a really fun deep dive. And then obviously Anime Cult with myself, Dodger, and Indie Mouse. We'll be getting together to record a new one soon, but you can go catch up on all of our episodes at Anime Cult, spelled CVLT, on anywhere you listen to podcasts. And I am streaming Kingdom Come Deliverance. Like that's like been my thing. I hadn't streamed in like over a year, and Kingdom Come came around and I wanted to do it. So you want to watch me and see Kingdom Come Deliverance, I've got like 20 hours of it already over on twitch.tv/Mathas Games.
Nice.
That's it. That's all I got going on for the week. You guys still do like homework, or are you guys done with that homework thing?
You know, we dropped it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just like real homework.
That's honest to God. Yeah, fair enough.
Jessup, what's going on with you?
First off, people in chat are like, did you watch State of Play? No, I didn't watch State of Play.
Mm-mm.
I have no idea it was on that show. I had to be told on my stream that there was a new Dynasty Warriors thing that was out, and I was like, oh, so I haven't seen it yet. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't do my homework on that one. Yeah, sorry. I was busy. I was doing other things. Hey, you can find a brand new show over on youtube.com/Jesse Cox called Tell Me About, where the last episode I had Coefficient on to talk about HoloLive, and I learned a lot. And on that show, I said, man, wouldn't it be crazy if we got Crazy Ollie to come on Geekenders? Wouldn't
that be so crazy?
Wouldn't that be so crazy? I guess you'll have to find out at the end of February how crazy it is. Wink, 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 wink.
Eyebrow wiggle.
Wink, 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 wink. So that is a thing coming up. Speaking of end of February, not next Monday. Next Monday is going to be another Scary Game Squad, but the Monday after that, we have another episode of Tell Me About, this time featuring former Geekender guest Necrit to talk about Arcane and League of Legends and the lore of League and where it's all going, hopefully to an MMO. Because after the conversation we had, I was like, yo, that's cool as hell. Sounds just like an MMO plot. And he's like, it does. So tune in for that. That'll be a whole thing. And if you're wondering, Jesse, my goodness, it seems like you might have more fun guests in the future. Let me tease you a thing that happened.
Oh?
I said in the last episode, Tell Me About, who should I talk to next? And everyone said, talk to Bricky about 40K. Now, I'm sure many people, if you've watched a 40K video, have seen a Bricky video, especially the one where he goes through every single, he's like, these are all the 40K factions. And it's very popular. I think it's like 10 million views. Anyway, messaged him. I'm just giving you some background. Messaged him like, yo, hey, do you want to be on my show? And he was like, it's so crazy that you brought this up because I put out a video today for my 10-year anniversary, and I just want to give you this timestamp. The timestamp, I think it's like, 3 or 4 minutes in the video. But he's like, yeah, I was working as a security guard, and I had nothing to do, and I was just sitting around, and so I spent hours watching one specific thing. I didn't want to take a guess what that was. Co-optional podcast. And he's like, I watched Co-optional podcast so much, I decided I would like to start making videos. And now I'll say he's even better at making videos than me. So it was very sweet.
That's so sweet.
Oh, he was emergency dispatch. That's right. Emergency dispatch. And it was very sweet. I couldn't believe it. And so he was like, hell yeah, I'll be on your show. I was like, so coming up, more good news to come.
Ricky's lovely.
Yep.
What about you, Dodger?
Yeah, Dodger, what's going on with you?
Well, I really wanted to beat Sworn on solo, and I did it. I did it twice in a row today. Damn. So I guess I'm done with that until it's out of early access. Urban Myth Disillusion Center is the game that I've been like so excited for. And they did put out a streaming guidelines thing that said you can't stream the entire game until April 1st. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll sit on that. Mind Over Magic came out, which is a game that seemed like it could be really fun, but I really struggled with the demo, so I'm probably going to check that out again. But, I don't know. Just whatever looks fun. I'll just be doing whatever. I'm on Anime Cult with this guy.
I've weaseled my way into your lives. You can't get rid of me now.
Ugh.
I love it.
I know. So sorry.
Ugh.
Yeah. I'll be sure to let you guys know what random episode of Chilluminati my phone thought was appropriate for my kid next.
If you ever hear us talking about a man by the name of Albert Fish,
turn off the episode.
Turn that shit off.
Turn that shit off.
Just do not play that
immediately.
Even if you're not a child, just don't play that episode.
Oh yeah, you probably don't want to hear about it. Unless
you know what?
Fucked up like
There's
me.
some episodes that are too nasty. Don't listen to it.
That one was a real nasty series.
Ooh.
No, not for Clark.
Not for Clark, and maybe not for humans.
Definitely not for humans. I was on that episode and I didn't want to be there. That was not fun.
It's fun. It's fun to drag Jesse into the real depraved true crime series sometimes and just watch.
I don't like
the
it.
hope and light fade from his eyes.
It turns out people are messed up, and I'm not a fan of it. Some people are more messed up than others, and I just want to be like, the meteor couldn't come fast enough. I'll be real. I'm like, that's what we're working with? That? Come on, meteor, let's get this over with. Let's restart this whole thing. We screwed up. Let's go. Yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for watching Geekenders. If you want to watch any other episodes of it, you can find all of the VODs on youtube.com/Jesse Cox. They will not exist here on Twitch after this moment. It will vanish. But we're also on all of the podcasty things. Lots of places to watch us with your eyeballs, listen with your earballs, whatever suits you best. But we'll be back here next Friday, doing this whole dang thing again. So thank you so much, Mathas, for joining us. Thank all of you for watching. And have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, you know what time it is. It's time for the Geekenders podcast. MegaRan, Jesse and Dodger, what up? Let's go. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow and see what the Geekenders are all about. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt. Yo, another end of another long week. Got a job and a kid, I know that you all beat. So take a second, grab a drink and vibe while we catch you up in just a matter of time. On gaming, comics, whatever you're doing. If you're nerdy like us, then you know you should tune in. Thank you for sharing our world with us. Now follow, subscribe, and turn this up. Yo, it's the weekend. Yeah, it's time to geek out. Let it begin. Go on, stream and shout. It's Jesse and Dodger, so give them a follow. #1 geek podcast, without a doubt.